Good morning, everyone. Morning. Nice to have. I see the numbers are flying up as we wait. It's just turned 9 o'clock. Thanks for all those who are online. I'm sure we'll have a very good turnout, and gives me great pleasure introducing you to Anastasia Mabula. We are very very chuffed to have Anastasia with us. I know you're not even in the country at the moment, Anastasia, so I'm glad you connected. But it's great to have you. I'm one of the directors of Barnell, and we hold these info sharing sessions every 2 months, and we get guest speakers in. So we were very lucky to get Anastasia from the Institute of Internal Audit, South Africa. Anastasia is going to be speaking to us on the new global internal audit standards that basically were released on the 9th of January 2024, but have come into effect on the 9th of January 2025. So Anastasia is an accomplished internal auditor, 18 years of experience, has led multiple audit engagements, private sector, public sector. She was the head of internal audit at PUTCO and various municipalities. Very well qualified. I'm not going to read all the qualifications, and doing her MBA through Gibbs at the moment. But I think also Anastasia has led risk and control-based audit engagements. She's developed audit frameworks, driven performance improvement. So years and years of experience, and now obviously heading up advocacy and strategic communication at the IIA. So it's great to have Anastasia on board with us here today. Anastasia also actively contributes to community empowerment and women's development initiatives. So very involved with the community. A devoted wife with 2 teenage kids. So I'm glad I'm past that now. That's so hard work. But the session will be recorded, or is being recorded. Anastasia's presentation will be on our website, and we will do a short write-up after this event that we send out with our newsletter. At the end of the presentation, Cheryl will unmute everyone so you can put your hands up and ask questions. In the meantime, you can also use the chat group if you'd like to pose any questions there. We'll try and get to them, but we might only get to them afterwards. But probably best to wait to the end when you'll be unmuted and then can ask questions. So I'm going to hand over to Anastasia. And once again, thank you to everyone here for a great turnout. And thank you very much, Anastasia, for your presentation today and making the time to join us today. Thank you very much.
Good morning, and thank you so much. I'm just gonna put my camera on so that you can see who is talking to you. Your introduction, actually, while you were busy introducing me, I got a little bit emotional. Somebody knocked into my room and they brought me a gift. Like, I'm not home, I'm in a different country, and somebody bring me a gift. I'm like, do I have a secret admirer? Only to find that it's coming from our CEO, and wishing me all the fun with this presentation, and some nice words that I can't say with you, but I'm just a bit emotional right now.
Oh, thanks, Anastasia. It's so good to have you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, and thank you also for the introduction, but can I just a little bit tweak the introduction and reintroduce myself just a little bit? So
yes.
in my bio, you had me as like currently studying MBA, but let me reintroduce myself. I have received my results. I am now an MBA graduate. I've passed and I've made it.
Well done.
Thank you. So yeah, that was just one of the tweaking of, because when the bio came out, I was still anxious waiting for the results. So they came in last week, and yeah, it's part of my excitement today. But yeah, maybe without having going too much about myself, I think I'm also very grateful from the Institute of Internal Auditors South Africa. We really appreciate this kind of an opportunity to connect with our members and everyone in the community who is interested in having to get more understanding the standards and how we present ourselves as the governance and internal audit providers in the globally. So we really do appreciate this opportunity. So I think without wasting time, we're just going to get on with our presentation. I was told that this is not going to be like a big formal session, but we're just going to have fun, talk together, and also learn together. I've realized that when you are too tense or you are too formal, you tend to take things too seriously and you miss other important things. So if you relax and be easy on yourself, you'll be able to get everything and be able to really enjoy and learn as much as you can. But together we are going to interact today. I'm just not sure, should I present on my side and share my screen, or are you going to present from your side?
I think better if you, oh, if you do, Anastasia, can you open your, share your screen? Yeah. Then
Okay,
you can
no, that's
control the slides. Yeah.
okay. No, that's super great. Let me do that.
Okay.
And I was a little bit worried, like we struggled with the network. I had another meeting yesterday, but when my camera was on, it kept on going off and on. So are you comfortable if I switch it off when I see that the network is not working?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Right
Okay.
now it's working. It's working well.
All
That's great.
right. Okay, no, perfect. I just want to get an indication if you are able to see my slides.
Yes, we can. Yes.
100%. Let's get on with it. I think when I was contacted, or the IIA was contacted or approached with regard to this kind of Sitlapelo, maybe can hear me? Somebody raised their hand. Before I go on, if they don't hear me, maybe we can fix it.
We can hear you, Anastasia. I think that was they were trying to react and raise the hand instead.
Oh, it happens. So I'm really grateful for the technology, because I can still be with us even if we are different miles away from each other, and just a way of breaking a little bit. We are actually learning a lot here. I'm attending a FIA conference, which is now this year currently happening in Rwanda, and just to bring it back, my break is about South Africa Institute of Internal Auditors will be hosting the AFIA next year. So I'm hoping and I'm praying and I'm wishing that all of us in this room will register for AFIA 2026, which will be held in South Africa. The learnings are so massive, and I think if this comes to your country, it's a very great opportunity that you grab it and you come and join other assurance providers and internal auditors and risk officers, everyone that is interested in governance processes. So I just want to say that just be on the lookout. Then you'll see our flyers talking about. We're gonna be making noise about it. So yeah. The learnings are so massive, the network and your continuous development and your career growth. It's really very interesting. And I thought, let me share this with you. So diving into today's session, it's about the global internal audit standards. So we want to look at the key changes that we should note and that we should really focus on. But maybe before I go in, let me just highlight to you that in terms of what we're going to focus on, we're going to look at the holistic global internal audit standard, and then just tap into the key changes. So obviously on the global internal audit standard, I'll just give you the highlights of how they look. And of course, you know about them, but you know what? You never stop learning. And then now we've now we'll dive into the key changes and then look into the key areas of conformance, like we'll unpack those. And then, of course, we cannot give you all this information without also giving you a direction to the resources and how we can support you as the IIA South Africa. And then also lastly, then we'll dive into our products and services. And obviously in the slides, I've got some announcement, like know what is happening at IIA as well. And then maybe before I go in, I just want to share this. When I started my profession at the PricewaterhouseCoopers back many years ago, the first thing when I was introduced as the trainee internal auditor, we were told that the standards are your Bible. You know, we know that those who believe in reading the Bible, you know that it is your manual. People like, you know, we believe that it's the manual to guide you in your life. But in this profession, our manual is the standards, which should be your guide in terms of how you present yourself as an internal auditor and how do you work. You know, all the guidelines are here. So you should be knowing this by heart. So this is how I have been taught. And I believe that these lessons should not change. It should be continuous to everyone that is actually providing the internal audit services, risk management, and any other assurance services. So maybe before in the start, I want to unpack into this internal audit standard. They are significant to all of us as internal auditors, but we'll focus on the three aspects, which is being the significance to internal auditors, significance to internal audit function, and significant to internal audit profession. Starting with the first one, which is the benefits of internal auditors. So if you look at the standards, they actually raise the bar. And you know, when you are complying with the standards, the reason we're saying it raises the bar, it put you out there. You become outstanding because you also have a direction of how you should behave yourself as an internal auditor and how you should conduct yourself. And also they give the practicalities. If you look at them, there is also a guideline in terms of how do we implement the standard. I think I really love the way they have been evolved, because they give you, like, it's not just that thing of saying that you need to like, I'll give you an example. You need to be positioned in the right position as internal audit within organization. But now there's no guideline. What do you mean by saying I should be positioned as an internal audit function? So like, they give the practicality of how then you can implement and act towards having to do your work on a daily basis as an internal auditor. How do you really present yourself to also the stakeholders within the organization? But most importantly, as an internal auditor, these standards, they emphasize in the upskilling. For you to be able to really excel in what you do, you need to upskill yourself. You need to be competent as well. I think the beauty part of it, when you upskill yourself, it becomes more easier. It gives you more confidence as well in presenting yourself. Remember, as internal auditors, you have to present to management your reports as well. And if you know your standards, if you know who you are, if you know what guides you, it gives you more confidence as well to sell and also to make management, your stakeholders aware of who are internal auditors. Who am I as an individual? That's why we often say that internal auditors are not being respected in organization. It's because we are not able sometimes to sell ourselves. And of course, not all the time, but at some instances, you see that there is something missing from our side that we're not doing right. And then also the significance to internal audit function. I think this one, obviously, I want to touch on where it's like the purpose and the effectiveness of internal auditors as well, internal audit function. So the standards outlines very clear that when we are positioned in the right, in the right offices, or like we are in like strategically positions within the organization, like in terms of reporting, are we reporting functionally to the audit committee or the board, and obviously administratively to the highest ranking person within the organization. So I think the purpose and effectiveness, we are able to then actually implement our mandate as an internal audit. I think also I love the strategic approach part part of it. Remember, if you look at the new standard, there is also internal audit must have strategies within their organizations. It's unlike in the olden days where we just had the internal audit plan and then we just work with it, like 3-year rolling plan. So, but now we have an opportunity to have the strategic, to have the strategy where we can really approach how we do our work from the strategic point of view. And in terms of significance to internal audit profession, I think this one, just one point I want to bring in, the credibility also. They give the credibility. We become even more trusted by organizations that when we abide to the standards, and we become like, the stakeholders they take us more seriously. And if you look at it also, they enhance the partnerships as well. There's also in domain 3, there's more highlights in terms of the stakeholder engagement, whereby we get involved with the senior management and we've got a direct contact with the board. And I think also this is like what has been missing most of the time, because internal audit function will be there in their own like when we pass on they are auditors. People don't know what we're doing there. So, but now there is that alignment in terms of the relationship and the collaboration with all the stakeholders involved. And now we find that when we get this right, we don't find the resistance when we issue our report, because now everyone understands your position, everyone understands who you are within the organization. So now the next slide, really I just want to highlight is a summary of how the new standards are structured. Now, if you look at how they're structured nicely, they've got 5 domains, we've got 15 principles, and out of the 15 principles, there are also 52 standards, which consist of requirements, consideration for implementation, and also examples of evidence for conformance. Like I explained earlier, that these standards, they give you a guideline, and I'll repeat, let the standards be your Bible. Read them through so that you understand them better. We've got lots of resources that are unpacking each domain, and we've got a lot of people that are also, I've seen nowadays we've got access to everything. Even on LinkedIn, there are people who really give themselves time, especially from the Institute of Internal Auditors, that we continuously post and talking about how can you easily implement the standards. The way we really love our members, we also have webinars. Like 3 weeks back, we had webinars where we were doing the post-implementation of the standards online, and that was for free as well. Like what Banal is doing is actually very good, because it also assisting people who are unable to afford. Some people, they have to really pay for this and go and get to understand and to be refreshed about the standards. But we've got this kind of opportunities that we appreciate, and we should grab them when we have a chance. I mean, it's at the comfort of your own home or in your own office where you can be able to attend this. And additionally, on the new standards, there's fundamentals, applying the standards in the public sector. It's also the glossary. We're not going to talk much about that. And now just stepping into when we spoke about the 5 domains. So now we know that all of us, domain 1, I was laughing in the office, even the people that are not really practicing internal audit, you can see the excitement. It's a colleague of mine who would always will speak to my CEO. What is domain 1? Purpose. And, they will play a game about talking about the domains. What does it say? What does it mean? And you can see now people, when you get more interested in making fun about this, I mean, you look at your phones, you've got games that you play. Why don't you play the games about your standards, something that you want to excel in? I mean, you want to grow your career in internal audit profession, but the internal audit profession are guided by the same standards that sometimes we really don't take time to read them. And okay, if you look at domain 2, ethics and professionalism, and obviously focusing on your integrity, objectivity, competence. We know this from the previous, the old standard. However, here they are actually being expanded in terms of having to understand more. And then domain 3 is covering the governing the internal audit function. Domain 4, managing internal audit function, and while domain 5, performing internal audit services. So unpacking the domain 1, which is purpose of internal auditing, obviously we're looking at, we know our purpose. That definition that we learned from school. I still remember my lecturer, and that definition, it was in my head, even when I went for my first interview, when they didn't ask me a question about what is internal audit and what the purpose of internal, I was so not happy, but I still gave them an answer for the question that they didn't ask me. So it's about you having to embrace the standard, having to embrace understanding what is your purpose as an internal auditor. So I think also just to touch on on the purpose internal audit and like the purpose of internal audit. So firstly, we're looking at the enhances the organization obviously in assisting the successful implementation or achievement of the objectives of the organization. And we all know that how do we do that? Obviously by auditing or looking into internal controls and also recommending. And also internal audits, it also becomes effective when we performed it is performed by competent professionals. Like I indicated above there, like in my first slide, you need to be competent when you perform your duties because you want to do it by right. And of course, you need to make sure that you conform by the global internal audit standard, because you cannot perform internal audit work without being guided by internal audit standard. I will not dive in all of them, but I'm just giving you the highlights. And if you want to read further, you will get the slides as well. So, but let me give you the key changes. So if you look at the slides that I have, the green part which I spoke about earlier, which is the strategic plan that internal auditors should have in their organization. This is the new thing, and obviously they also the updated ones that have been updated. They've been there, but there is updates like your reliance plans on other assurance providers. Obviously, we're looking at other assurance providers depending on the combined assurance, how the organization decide to do their the combined assurance. So obviously we're looking at avoiding the duplication of work and also training plans. You find that there are certain internal auditors that have been in the position or have been practicing internal audit, but the people even forgot when last did they go for training, or they go for irrelevant trainings that are not really assisting them in growing their knowledge in internal audit, because you need to grow your knowledge for you to effectively advise the organization or add value. Remember, our main purpose is to add value. But if you don't have the trainings and you don't continuously engage or attend conferences like AFIA or national conferences offered by IIA, so those are the issues those are the places where you should go and as well upgrade yourself and looking at performance reporting and quality assurance. And I think basically the blue ones, we've all been known about them. I'll skip to that. And now I've got a slide that is also talking about the summary of changes, which is the continuous from what I was talking about, and the new structures, that's the new content, obviously, that is addition to where there's also guideline on how to actually implement and the purpose of internal audit, ethical principles and standards. So these are just some of the summary of the changes that we will be looking into, and I also have touched on them in the previous slide. So let's tap into the new requirements as well for internal audit function. So if you look at 1.1, honesty and professionalism. So obviously this one, I always tell people that once you are an internal auditor, even in every area you go, you should still handle yourself the way you should handle yourself when you are you are practicing internal audit. So here the description regarding the honesty and professional courage, and also we should also ensure that we develop that thick skin. Okay, maybe thick skin is another word that I shouldn't be using, but you need to have the courage as well when you express, when you report on tough issues. Sometimes they become unfavorable to management, but I mean, if you gain this kind of the requirements, if you've got these qualities as internal auditor, you'll be able to really report on tough issues. I'll give you an example. We had a webinar last week for our Siakula the students last week. So we had some quizzes where a student had to really choose, tell us if this was a myth or it was a fact. I think one of the questions that came out that speaks more about the professional courage was where there was a quiz about internal auditor who was faced with the difficulty that the report was unfavorable to management, and the management was like, "You going to remove this from the report." So now that is where we will see that you've got a professional courage, and professional, you stand, you put your foot down professionally. So you shouldn't respect people, but obviously use your professional courage to really say that, and you show them that this is still very important to be in the report, but also being courageous as well. You cannot be removing issues out of report, because obviously then you'll be diverting from your mandate, which is to really add value and assist management in tightening the controls. So obviously the competency part of it, I love this one, and I will also just also emphasize on it, like for us to really have to do this right, we need to be competent. We need to make sure that we acquire all the necessary skills. And I pray that we're all going forwards to what you call like in the route for CIA, because CIA also is one profession that will also equip you in terms of being competent in doing your work, and also confidence as well. And you get respected when you are studying, and when you are educated, they know that this person knows their stories. Sometimes if you know that you're still limping, but that qualification and the knowledge that you have when you're still learning to apply it, that alone give the respect to yourself as well. And also protection of information. Obviously, this is the long outstanding one. The CAE must ensure that internal audit function and individuals assisting the internal audit function adhere to the same protection requirements. Let me tell you this: if we don't fasten, or maybe if we don't continuously update ourselves, the Siyakhula student, the student that are still at varsity that are engaged with IA right now, all these things, when I'm looking at it now, it reminds me of the sessions that we had with them. It was actually a powerful session, and it was actually something that you realize that people were really learning so much. And if you look at the second page here is still this, the new requirement, internal audit function as well. I think maybe let me touch on the internal audit strategy. If we can just go to 9.2, the internal audit strategy. Can I currently kindly be just something is happening here? Hold on a second. Yo, my humble apologies for that. The housekeeping, they came to my room. I forgot to keep the tag at the room to say that I'm busy. Now I lost my presentation. Okay, I'm back. My apologies about that misunderstanding. I should have put in the tag outside, and they were not going to be knocking at my door. Okay, I think I was more on the internal audit strategy. So internal audit strategy must include the vision, strategic objective, and supporting initiatives for internal audit function. The CAE must also review the internal audit strategy with the board and senior management periodically. I think here it is the emphasis of the buy-in from the stakeholders. You can have a strategy, but if you don't have buy-in from the stakeholder, you will not be able to implement your strategy. And remember, your strategy will give the direction to internal audit function, which will assist you like in having to focus on what is expected or what you want to see in internal audit function. But if you don't have buy-in from the other stakeholders that are responsible for the approval as well, and also for the support, you will not be able to implement your strategies. Obviously, your visions and strategic objectives, you would want to implement them, and also supporting, like, supporting the initiative for the internal audit function. This will also include into giving them a direction. I've had so many incidences whereby we want to attend the trainings that will equip us as internal auditors, but we don't get approval. I'll tell you why. This was because we were not involving the senior management or the other stakeholders that are responsible, because they don't know who we are, what is happening. They just see these professional people who dress up nicely, who carry the laptops, and they walk like executives, because of course when we get to organization, people look at us with that kind of an eye. But now if you will just be there, but you don't have the relationship and collaboration with them, you will not get the support, and you will not be able to really perform your job the way you'd want to do, and you will not be able to add value, because for the way you are supposed to do, because you are appointed in the organization to add value and really assist the organization to achieve the strategic objectives. And touching on 7.2, Chief Audit Executive qualifications. And if I have Chief Audit Executive, Chief Audit Executives in the call here. I think this is also for you as well, that CAE must help the board understand the qualification and competencies of CAE that are necessary to manage the internal audit function. And CAE facilitates this understanding by providing information and example of common and leading qualification and competencies. So I think this one, the reason why I want to bring it before I move to the next slide is that I spoke about it earlier about the CIA qualifications. And again, it takes us to planning. I mean, this is the main three that is also how do you govern the internal audit function as well. So and in this instant, the senior management and the audit, they know about all these things, right? But it is still your responsibility as the CAE to make them understand, why do you have to pay for me to be at the CIA? Why do you have to save money aside to train my internal auditors or the staff members for IATs, for other professional internal audit competencies? You know, these are the things that we talk about it all the time. And I believe that the cover up of all of this, it comes with a clear communication and understanding. You need to be aligned with your stakeholders need to be aligned with our strategies as internal auditors, need to be aligned with what is expected of us in terms of the qualification as well. But 8.4 is also very important. I can leave it, the external quality assessment. I hope and I believe that we are all, you know, aware of this. This is part of conformance, because we need to really make sure as internal auditors, we have the independent assessors, or like maybe appoint an assessment team that will really at least once every 5 years to really look at our internal audit, assess our internal audit. Because I mean, for you to be able to say that, no, I'm okay here, or I need to improve here, you need to be assessed, but also the standards actually guide us, or like we are instructed. Like I said, that the standards, they are our Bible. We have to do the external quality assessment. And then, so I'm continuing with the new requirements as well. Can I just jump into 10.2 as well? Or actually, I'll just cover 10.1 and 10.2, financial resources management and human resource management. Obviously, for you to be able to implement the plan, or to complete the plan that you might have planned within your department, you need to make sure that you've got enough resources. And of course, now it comes again that with collaboration with other stakeholders. Here, your human resource department will be your stakeholder, because when you want to appoint, you need to discuss your strategies and your plans as well with the particular department to ensure that you appoint the right and qualified individuals to be able to execute the plan as well. And obviously, the CAE must develop a budget that enables the successful implementation of internal audit strategy and achievement of the plan. And let me tell you, sometimes I've seen it happening. Okay, these are the mistakes that I did when I was practicing internal audit, and I believe and I hope that nobody will be repeating them. You have that wish plan that we call it a wish list of some sort. You've got a plan that these are the things that I want to do. These are the people that we want to take for training. But when you go for budget, you don't cater for such things in the budget. And when the time comes, when the Institute of Internal Auditors come and say, there is this training, you want to send your people, but dololo budget. And now we come and say that management, it's not supporting me. It's not their fault. Can we look at ourselves and plan well before we can blame management? And many organizations will say that we don't have support from senior management and blah, blah, blah. But sometimes it is because of us, not doing things right. So we need to have a proper planning, and we need to make sure that we plan well. I think financial resource management and human resource management, the 10.1 and 10.2, they cover the resources as well. And 10.3, technology resources. The CAE must collaborate with the organization's information technology and information security function to implement technological resources. We are living in the world of technology, and I think this should be an emphasis that every organization should ensure that they've got technology to be able to execute their strategy. I mean, if we look at what is happening around the cybersecurity, how can you be able to detect such kind of risks? Obviously, you need to have advanced technology. Of course, it might be difficult, baby steps. You need to start somewhere and budget for such, and make sure that you are equipped technology resources. You have such in your internal audit division. And 13.1, engagement and I'm just going to jump others because I feel like they're straightforward and you can read for yourself. Engagement and communication. Internal auditors must communicate the objective, scope, timing, and of the engagement with management. Subsequent changes must be communicated with management timely. Again, I'm going to emphasize, if we don't up our game, the internal auditors that are still at varsity that you are going to appoint in the next coming 2 years or 3 years, they will be able to know this so well, because I think these are the engagements that we have with them about the standard understanding. We were teaching them about communication. I think most of our quizzes were more about the communication as well. I think communication is key, and sometimes we take it so light. I mean, I'll give you an example. You are going to start an audit and you come to a client like, I'm starting an audit tomorrow. I mean, these things have got plans. I mean, the client, as much as you are appointed to audit them and you've got the authority to access the information and be accessible to them, but they still need to plan as well on their side. We need to have clear communications as well when there are changes as well. And if maybe, for example, the auditor started work and in for some reasons they fall sick in the process, that should also be communicated. Communication is key for us to be really be trusted and to be seen as a professional individuals within the organization as well, and also to be respected. People appreciate us when we communicate, but again, it's not about people appreciating us, it's about the conformance, it's about what is expected from us. And maybe let's dive into, I'm just looking at my time. I'm going to dive into the key areas of conformance. And so we're just going to look at the 6 areas of conformance, which number 1 is perform an initial gap assessment to the standards. So I think also if all of us here, and if not, please, you need to, we have to also give you a link. As long as you are a member, you will have access to this. As long as you are a member in good standing with IIA, understand the change between all the new standards. So there's a mapping document that is available that you can be able to understand where we come from. It's so nicely mapped that you'll be able to see what are the changes as well, what I'm talking about here, but you see it in detail in the mapping document. So this is where internal audit function will also perform their gap analysis. What were we doing previously? What is the changes, and how are we going to affect the changes in our processes as well. Leverage on the conformance readiness assessment tool. Obviously, this will also assist in terms of, some organizations, they'll say, okay, yeah, we're doing the quality assessment every 5 years, but if we've got the capacity, we can also do it on an annual basis. Also, this one depend as well on your audit committee. What would they expect? How would they run with it as well, if you want to be prepared for 5 years assessment as well. And also assign team to gap assessment, also allow the internal audit collaboration. Okay, I think also let's move to the next one, which document the internal audit strategy. We have been receiving a lot of requests or a lot of guidelines in terms of how to we document the internal audit strategy. So I think also these are the guidelines that one should look at it. Obviously, first looking at defining the internal audit vision and mission, determine the strategic objective to address gaps identified in gap assessment. So, I mean, in the step 1 there, you would have had your gap assessment. Obviously, this should also be addressed as well into, it has to be identified and be addressed in terms of in the audit strategy and supporting initiatives around competencies, skills, and technology. I think if you are listening attentively, what is coming out to be repeated over and over again is competency, skills, and also technology. So I think these are the issues that should also be looked into, and strategic plan should also be used to obtain the need, skill set, competencies, and budget. So when you have your strategy for you to implement, obviously going back to the human resource and financial resources. So this will also assist you in terms of factoring it in this, and review internal audit budget, technology, HR plan to support objective. Repetition. This is not repetition, but emphasis. So if you look at some of these things that have been repeated, it means that they are extremely important. They should be emphasized. They should be adhered to. We should conform to the standard. So number 3, improve audit planning processes. So, of course, we talk about internal audit risk plan, but also this, the key conference also talks about internal audit must be more risk focused, streamline risk assessment and audit plan development. Obviously, we need to have our internal audit risk plans, and it must be more risk focused as well, and collaborate with the strategy and planning function. Use technology to solicit risk data from key stakeholders. And I also think that also this will assist in terms of effectiveness as well. When you use technology, obviously we are able to be like, obviously comparing technology and manual, we become more effective and we become more efficient as well, and evaluate the risk universe and map key risks to auditable areas, assess work of other assurance providers. Here we were talking about holistically your assurance providers, combined assurance within the organization, depending on what has been approved by the management as well. Obviously, we choose also the appropriate assurance or advisory. And number 4, leverage on work of other assurance providers. I'm not going to repeat this. This is looking at to not duplicate the efforts, not waste the company time for repeating something that has been done. Obviously, you know your assurance providers within the organization, and typical assurance providers, some organizations have the internal controls that they've done the assessment on certain controls. Obviously, some will take forward for where they have left off and take it further if there were queries found. And obviously, this is how your strategy, your combined assurance document will guide you on how you go about it, but avoid duplication of efforts as well. Use the available leverage on the assurance providers available within the organization, improve internal audit skills and competence. These are the key components that I've been talking about. I'm not going to dwell on it, but obviously you need to improve your internal audit skills. And we need to educate ourselves. We need to be up there. When you are comfortable, when you upgrade yourself, you become more comfortable as into what you are doing. You become it becomes more easy for you to even do your work, to be more effective and efficient. So colleagues, ladies and gents, please let's improve internal audit skills and competency. And lastly, reimagine internal audit performance monitoring. Oh yeah, I think this one, most organization, okay, the people that I engaged with, they'll always say like, it's really not easy to measure the performance or monitor the performance within internal audit. But let's look at this last one. Define more risk-focused KPIs, number of audits achieved versus how plan covers important risk in organization, reporting issues resolved versus risk issues not resolved. So obviously you'll be looking at it, assessing is how have we done in terms of what has been identified as risk, how far are we as well, but also obviously looking at the quality of the work that we do as well. Leverage on ongoing and periodic results of QAIP to drive your KPIs as well. Like as I indicated earlier on, for you to have improvement plan, you need to be assessed first. So the QAIP will assist in terms of seeing where are the gaps, where I'm lacking as well, where can I improve? Because all we need is to do our work with diligence and excellency. And lastly, consider a balanced scorecard to group your KPIs. Feel like I'm running a marathon, I'm gonna breathe. But yeah, the next slide is focusing on the topical requirements. So in terms of topical requirements, obviously I've mentioned earlier as the cybersecurity, which is one of the topical requirements that has been identified. With that being said, before I forget, today is the 29th of May. The risk in focus is out there, and I'm going to urge all of us. I wish I had put it here, but I was sending to Sharon to send to all of you the link that you complete your risk in focus. These are the issues. You are on the ground, you know what's happening, and in the risk in focus survey, it's trying to find out what is happening in the organization, what are the risk that should be included as well that we should focus on. So we need your support in having this right. This is our responsibility to ensure that we bring forth what we know so that it can be looked at as well from the Institute of Internal Auditors side of view as well. So some of the topical requirements applicable, they are subject on engagement in internal audit plan, depending on how relatable they are within your organization, identified while performing an engagement some of them we find while we are busy trying to obtain the system descriptions as well, and also the subject of request engagement that was not on the original internal audit plan. Of course, we always say that you cannot keep your eyes focused. In Afrikaans, they say you are wearing wegklapt, I forgot the word, but you cannot be like this. Your eyes should be open. You'll be able to identify other risks, even if they are not part of your plan. Of course, report about them, and obviously plan forwards to really look into them. And this is really the slide that is actually showing you like about the topic progression in IIA content and services. So the imaging ones, we're looking at the AI, the blockchain. Obviously, these are thought leadership ones that are based on the researches as well. And also there's one that I've matured already, as I've indicated, the one in the middle with the blue, the ESGs, the talk of it. We actually recently had an interview with one of the ESG aspect in our podcast. When you have chance, go into our LinkedIn, you'll find it. And that we had the ESG, like we wanted to understand more into assisting the internal auditors. What are the responsibilities of internal auditors when it comes to ESG and cybersecurity, fraud, and IT? Hence, we also saying that you need to make sure that you are IT resourceful as well when you are performing your duties. And also, you must also invest in IT resources within the organization that will assist you as well in addressing such issues as well. Okay, the last one is the core. These are our standard that we have spoke about: your domains, the purpose, ethics, professionalism, governing IAF, managing and performing IA services. Okay, this is actually just a continuation about the topical requirements. I'll pass through it, and also here it is giving the overview of the timelines, where it has been, where it started, and then where we are right now. I think, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of the effective topical requirement, I think it's in February 2026 for cybersecurity, and there's a new one that I have not included here, the third-party risk management as well. I think we had an opportunity also to have a comment on it, which was closed, I think, somewhere in the 20th of April. Be on the lookout when we post such things so that you can be part of it. You know how beautiful it is when you see a document that has been approved, that you have been part of it. It makes even more sense to you, and you excel in the subject matter as well. Okay, I'm now coming closer to the end of my presentation, but because it's the Internal Audit Awareness Month, I just wanted to bring it to your attention. Of course, we are left with 3 days now to finish the Internal Audit Month, which is month of May. But while we're doing that, the May is coming next day. We are all still going to be here. So I want you to register in your head. Also, with the last 3 days, you do something about it. So what is Internal Audit Month? What are we celebrating? I think the main purpose, I mean, we've got Mother's Day, we've got Father's Day. We want to remind people that these people exist. You know, we need to celebrate them. So we want to also show the world that as internal auditors, we exist and we should make a mark out there. So the purpose, actually, what is the Internal Audit Month all about? It's about, you know, dedicating the raising awareness of the role and value of internal auditing. And then we also celebrate the impact we are making. Ladies and gentlemen, I might have been saying that we're doing things wrong, blah, 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 but there's a lot of good things that we are doing. Celebrate yourself, pat yourself on the shoulder, brag about your profession. I mean, we are making a difference, even if somebody might not tell you, but you know that you're making a difference within your organization, strengthening governance, risk management, and internal controls. The difference that you see there, and you were part of it, so celebrate it. And why does it matter? It matters because it enhances the understanding of internal audit's importance within the organization. And we also want to showcase our professional value. You know, people should know we exist. We are not in the corner. We are not the things that we want to really make it so well known as well within the organization. I mean, if you have a cap that says Internal Audit Month, I will always wear it for the month of May. Whatever that you can do that will make people know that I'll be aware of you. And how can you get involved as an internal auditor or an assurance provider or risk management individuals? So there are a lot of awareness that are being attended as well across all different regions in 9 provinces in South Africa. And also there are online seminars, webinars that you can really engage with, and so that you can really brag about this. And there's a QR code there. And if you can just scan it as well, you can download. If you look at my banner at the back, like my visual background, it's about Internal Audit Month, and please just make it more exciting as well. Help me to make this month to be more exciting. After this, go into LinkedIn, Facebook, and WhatsApp statuses, wherever you have a chance to really brag about it. But above all, let's continuously upgrade yourself by reading more, the standards, and understanding who we are, what are we guided with, and what should we do in performing our duties. So yeah, these are just some of the the link that I provided there, or that link, the QR code that you scan there. It is actually going to bring you to this. This is what you can copy and paste on LinkedIn and tell us how are you celebrating your Internal Audit Month. That's basically that. Yeah. So in terms of resources, so I'm going to give this to when you get the slides, you'll be able to have the navigation of where you can get the resources, what I've been talking about, and you can click on the links there. As long as you are the member in good standing, you'll be able to access this information. And yeah, these are the resources where you can find, learn more about the standards. There are also some like frequently asked questions. Some of them you don't even have to email IIA asking about this. You find them there because there is a tab on the website where they've got like a lot of frequently asked questions where they are being answered as well, and also just to enhance your knowledge as well, and then also learn more about the knowledge center. Yeah, this is basically what we want to offer to you. And in terms of our products and services, we spoke about the assurance reviewer. Some of you want to perform, want to be recognized as the external quality assurance reviewer. The IIA is offering that services for you to be trained and to be a qualified assurance reviewer. And some of you want to be recognized as internal audit service providers. We do have those services as well that we offer. And we also have on-demand learnings as well. These are online webinars or online courses that we offer. You don't have to drive to the office. You can, at the comfort of your own home and at your own pace, continuously learn. We got you covered. I mean, we cannot tell you all these things and not really give you the resources. Here we are, we're saying these are the services that we are providing to assist you. And ladies and gents, if we've got CAEs here, we also have introduced the Leaders Cycle, where you can really have join, and for you to get more information. There's also email address there. You will be able to have a chance to network and to get access to a certain information that some of us that are not in the Leader Cycle, we are not able. It's like sort of like the high level. So we give you this opportunity that if you want to be part of it, you can really go there. And we've got a book cloud as well. If you can browse and see what we are selling and we are having at IIA to upgrade yourself, we got you covered. I mean, we want you to be competent in your own areas. And lastly, our upcoming events. We have the 28th Annual National Conference that will be in South Africa. And you please be on the lookout on our LinkedIn, on all our social media, and register on time. Ladies and gentlemen, who can I breathe? This is me. Thank you very much. Let's elevate the standard, let's elevate the profession, and let's elevate the impact. And I thank you.
Thank you very much, Anastasia. That was brilliant. I love your excitement and enthusiasm. It is such a wonderful way to start Thursday morning. So you've I've been smiling and cheered up just listening to your excitement. I mean, it's not easy to present standards, and yeah, I got goosebumps. It's absolutely wonderful. So there are some Cheryl's going to open the floor, but there are some questions in the chat group, and I think there's one from Johannes and there's one from Matabiso. So maybe they want to put their hands up first, and they can ask you the questions that are in the chat group directly. But thank you for a most wonderful presentation. That was absolutely brilliant. Thank you. So I think if Johannes, would you like to ask your question, please? And then Matabiso, please.
Yeah, thanks. Good morning, all. Yes, thanks for the presentation. I'm very clear now in terms of the new standard. From my side, in terms of the question, I just want to check, because if you submit the proposed internal audit strategy and the plan, will it not cause a confusion to the audit committee when it's submitted at the same time? Because if you look at the strategy also, you'll articulate also the activities and how you will ensure that you achieve the strategic objective of the internal audit. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Was that Johannes? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for a valuable question. I think this is where we also come in to say that we've got also the audit committee forums as well, where we are actually equipping them about the internal audit standard. Because, I mean, you cannot be an audit committee and not understand as well the processes that are happening within the internal audit function. So basically, your internal audit strategy as well, it assists you in terms of what are your visions? What are you going to do? What is going, what is it about your internal audit function? And now your internal audit plan will be implementing what is in the strategy. So definitely there should not be a confusion there. As long as your audit committee understand and also read the standards, because they should be able to understand even more to actually assist you as the chief audit executive. So just to answer your question, simple and straightforward, there should not be confusions. Your internal audit plan should be, even if they're submitted on the same time, the documents are two separate documents, but the other one it's actually taken from the other. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thanks. But I will engage with you further.
Thank you. I wanted to say, if you want to have a further engagement as well, we can really have a call. We can set up a meeting.
Yeah, thank you, Anastasia. Matabiso, would you like to ask your question there? I can read it. What will happen to the certification exams? When will the new standards be applicable?
Okay. I actually forgot to mention it yesterday when our the chairman of the global IIA, she was asking what is happening at IIA this week. So the implementation of the new standard exams was effective since yesterday, the 28th of May. So if you're writing your CIA from yesterday going forward, you will be writing on the new standards. But there are also some more developments that will be issuing out. And what I want to emphasize, our internal auditors, kindly read our newsletters. I work as an advocacy at an IIA South Africa, and I am from the internal audit side. I understand your struggles and understand. So it is much easier as well when we put in our newsletters, we put the things that we know that they are also more relevant. And our CEO is so passionate as well about internal auditors. So my kind request is read our newsletters. I think also some of these things will be addressing them in the newsletters that are coming up to update you on the changes as well. And also for the new standard in terms of effective implementation within the organization, it was the 9th of Jan 2025. But in terms of the exams, from yesterday, you write on the new standards. The old standards, they are not applicable anymore for exams.
Thanks, Anastasia.
Matabiso, I hope to see you. I hope to see you at the CO. I see you as CIA in the next time we meet. So go and write the exams with the new standards. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? There's a hand. Blessed. You're on mute.
Yes, thank you, Jonathan and Anastasia. My question is on the audit charter vis-a-vis the audit strategy. Do the current standards require us to have both the charter and the strategy? And are there any differences to what is contained in the charter as opposed to what we will contain in the strategy?
You're on mute, Anastasia. You're on mute. We can't hear.
Okay, cool. I was looking for the unmute button. Okay, thank you, Blessed, for the question. So if you look at one of the key changes that I have indicated as well, internal audit charter will also, these documents, they serve a different purpose. Although they are interlinked, they serve different purpose. So the most important thing is for you to, obviously with the audit charter, some people, they struggle, it doesn't change. If there were an element where you had the standard reference in your internal audit charter, obviously you will update it to the new standards, but they are two different documents. And I think also the guidelines show you what is included in the audit charter and what is included in the audit methodology and what should be in the plan and what should be in the strategy as well. Thank you.
Dimikatso?
Thank you so much. I had a follow-up on the certifications, the standards, the ones where we're saying the new standards are applicable. Does that include even the CRMA? Because I heard from Jabulile that for CRMA, we're still using the old standards for the exam. Thank you. And thanks for
that
the
is quite correct.
presentation.
Thanks, oh, sorry, my apologies. Sorry, you can continue.
No, I was saying, and thank you so much for the presentation.
Oh, you're most welcome. And thanks for Ban All for giving us an opportunity. I think to respond to your question, and I'm not sure why I did not have that slide. I think I removed that slide today, but in terms of the CRMA, it's no changes. It stays as it is. That's what we got the communication from Global. So there's no changes in the exam. It's only changes on the CIA. I'm certain about that one. It's no changes.
Thank you so much.
All right, cool.
Are there any other questions? I don't see any hands. Oh, there we go. Shante?
Hi, can I maybe ask, is there any other resources you can tell us about, like, for example, checklists for reviews or, your internal audits, in-house assessments for your quality reviews? Are there anything like that you can share with us as toolkits?
Wow, that's a very good question as well. I think not that I'm aware of at the moment, but I know there was a discussion around that. Is it okay if we can really ask for your maybe your contacts that I can get into our technical office just to check if we've got toolkit? But I know we don't have a toolkit, but I know there might be something that we can check for you in the resource center.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we've got your email address, Shante, so we will we'll just put you in touch with Anastasia afterwards. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I see Anastasia has posted her email address, so you could just communicate with her. That's great. Any other questions? I don't see any more hands. There we go. Steve, go for it.
just unmute myself. Hi, Anastasia. Thank you very much for a very informative presentation. And clearly you are very passionate about internal audit, like everybody around this call. So fantastic. Well done. I'm from Melbourne in Australia. So I don't know if you've got any other overseas people dialing. But one question is, does the Institute plan to develop a maturity model that internal audit functions can assess the level of maturity? Because, clearly a 2 or 3 person or 1 person internal audit function clearly cannot be and should not be at the same level of maturity as a First National Bank or Nedbank internal audit that's got literally hundreds of people, team members in the function. Is that plan for the institute to actually provide that guidance and support and to the practitioners?
Thank you, Stephen. You also miles away in Australia. Thank you for the question. There was a discussion actually. I have been requested to write something about it, because I think you are not the first person to ask, because there's more internal audit functions there's really struggle, but it's not really in my area as well. The lady that has just asked a question, I think maybe I'll just go back and check if we can, there's something that is being worked on, but I know Global has got more resources as well. Maybe before I can even go there, I'll go to our internal resource center and check if there's anything I can just keep in touch. If you can just drop your email in the chat box.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen, for joining from Melbourne. I know Stephen's an ex-South African, so we chat to Stephen quite often, and Stephen heads up GRC Ready, that's got a very strong in content provision around risk and audit. So I know we've done some risk maturity assessments together with GRC Ready, but I think they've got a lot of assets, digital assets around the audit as well. So I think that's where the question's coming from. So yeah, let's see whether that's something that is required. The audit risk audit maturity assessment. Yeah, good.
No, definitely I'll respond to all the queries as well from our technical team.
Thanks, Anastasia.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Looks like not.
Yeah. Well, one more from Blessed. There we go. Okay, we'll take a couple more.
Yeah, I come from a very, very, very small audit. I'm actually the only auditor where I work. So I'm wondering, in terms of compliance to the standards when you conduct your QA, the external quality assurance, do you get any exceptions because you are a small organization or not? Because some of issues around teams and will not be applicable.
Blessed, I'm actually opening the document that I wanted to open for you, but in terms of conformance does not exclude the small organization. I think the internal audit standards were so very specific, but I think there are some elements. If you look at the standards, sure. I just forgot which standard number it is, but you are still required. It's no exception. You still have to conform to the standard in terms of the quality assessment. But I think there is also a guideline of how the small organization should go about it. It is clarified in the standard. So I was just trying to check for you right now as I'm talking which specification, which one is it?
Maybe you could email Blessed, email Anastasia, and then Anastasia can share that with you.
Yeah,
see.
I will. Anastasia, are you available to have a one-on-one with me just to give guidance to, the complaints issues and all that after we have accessed the relevant standard? I don't know whether you will have time for that.
I have been talking on mute. Like I'm talking on mute. I'm like, no, 100% we can set up a meeting, but not this week, of course, also not next week if it's okay. But let's talk offline. Just send me an email, then we can set up a session. But the most important thing is you are still have to conform to the standards. But yeah, let's take it further. And you've got my email, send me an email, then we can set up a meeting. Then I can also bring in our technical experts in the office as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great. I think
Yeah.
last question for you, Anastasia, from Oki, and then we probably, I'm sure you've got a busy day ahead.
And I go back to the convention center. I'm joking, it's fine, I'm here.
Go for it, Oki. Yeah.
Colleagues, good morning. Anastasia, thanks for your presentation. I just want to ask your view on something on, I call it the buzzword combined assurance. If I look at the standards, and I refer now to an organization where there's a big established internal audit function. If I look at the standards, especially 9.5, it looks like the standards make kind of say that the drive behind the combined assurance theme sits with the internal audit function. Am I correct to say that? What's your views on that? I'm just interested in that. Thanks.
My view on that is okay. I've done the combined assurance. Was it policy or what in terms of guiding the process? But I think in organization that I work for, it was in risk management as well when they did the combined assurance. But my personal view is that it should be positioned at the level whereby internal audit will also give the guidance, and as long as there is a clear communication, who does what and where does it end. Because it cannot come to be too operational in terms of developing a document that you still have to check if it is in compliance as well. So it's a very complex one from my side, and I think my view is just my view for where I'm standing when I'm still in internal audit, but I'm not really an expert in the subject as well. So it's a very complex one. I'm not really having a 100% answer for you on this one.
Thank you.
But I hope that if you feel like you still need more information, please email me. We've got office, we've got different portfolios within the organizations, then I can escalate it within. These are the topics that if somebody's asking about it, probably there are a million people out there who has the same questions, would want to dwell more on it. And I think I enjoy discussions because they make me be able to go and do research and help others out there.
Yeah, thanks for all the questions, and thanks, Anastasia. It was, and yes, you are very responsive. I mean, we've sent you a couple of emails and we get a response really quickly. So thank you very much for that. And I know how busy you are and how much pressure there must be being in the institute. So especially with the new standards. So,
Yeah.
But thank you very much for your time today, and thank you to everyone for joining. And I think it's been very informative and just so sparky and full of energy. So it's been an absolute pleasure having you present to us, and we're very grateful to have you on our Barnall Info sharing today. So thank you to everyone. Thanks.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us from IIA, and have a blessed day. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers, bye.
Thanks.